If there was ever a time when your moon was truly activated, it is now when Rahu and Ketu will be transiting in a couple of months into your Virgo sign and your Pisces sign respectively. Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astrological. In a couple of months, we are going to have the Rahu and Ketu transit into Pisces and Virgo respectively, and this is an important transit. Transits are usually seen from the moon sign. However, the moon sign's transits are generally seen for where the mind is going, where your focus will be, where your wishes and desires will be focused on, and where your attention will be, where will be emotions come in. And we know that ultimately the choices that we make are more emotional choices rather than rational choices. Even if we make rational decisions, at the end of the day, if we don't feel right about it, we don't make decisions. And so it's important that we see the transits for the material side from the ascendant sign, from the rising sign, the video of which I've done already a week back, and for where the mind will be, where the focus will be, where our attention will be, where our wishes and desires will be, where will our fears be, where our apprehensions be. So the emotional side, the softer side, the mushier side should be seen from the moon sign, which means in which house your moon is placed in your natal chart. From there, where are your Rahu and Ketu transiting? So let's carry on and see how from your moon sign, places where Rahu and Ketu will be transiting into Pisces and Virgo respectively, what will be the opportunities for us, what will be the chances for us, and what will be the choices for us. Now for Aries moon sign people, where moon is in your ascendant in the Aries sign, this is a very interesting placement. One, because Rahu is moving away from your Lagna, transiting into your 12th house, whereas Ketu is moving away from your 7th house, the sign of relationship, and into the 6th house of competition, of being able to overcome challenges at work in your service. So when Rahu moves away from your 12th house, it activates wishes and desires pertaining to expenses. 12th house is the house of living it up and expenses. And Rahu's aspect is on the 4th house, but the sign which is ruled by the moon, while moon is in the Lagna. So this kicks in a desire for enhancement of status, of stature and respect and dignity in society. So this is an aspiration, this is a wish and desire. Need not be that all wishes and desires will come true. However, Rahu will surely enhance the emotional side of wanting to live it up, wanting to do well, in terms of your assets, in terms of living it up and the quality of life. So the person with moon in the Lagna, in the Aries sign in your natal chart, which means that moon is your rising sign or moon sign is Aries, there you will find that you will want to do a bit of cleanup, a bit of more home improvement. Focus on the home will be under focus, your domestic life will be under focus, your family will be also under focus. So some of you may want to be in a better place. Now whether you will be able to do that or not, whether you will make the choices or not accordingly, will be seen over time, whether you make the choices accordingly. However, the wish and desire will surely be triggered that you want to do something about the home, about family, maybe travel, maybe go to places also. So surely this is getting activated. Now in a few months after that, you will have Jupiter transiting into your 2nd house, into the money sign of Taurus, where moon gets exalted, but under the 9th aspect of Ketu, which means in your income or in your livelihood, you will surely have a wish or a desire or a focus or a fear that your livelihood will be affected. So on one side, you may have the wish and desire that you need to have a better income, you need to have a better livelihood, you need to have a better saving, but at the same time the fear will be that am I getting enough, am I saving enough, am I saving for a rainy day also. So there will be a tug of war, kind of tug of war between the apprehensions and the wishes and desires of the moon and the focus and attention that Rahu is giving you to live it up on the material side. So you need to be careful of how you play the yin and yang between moon and Rahu here. Remember that Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon itself. So moon gets most affected by Rahu and Ketu transit. So for Aries ascendant native, the focus will be more on livelihood, on your source of income, your saving and your desire to live it up, but at the same time trying to also ensure that you save for a rainy day and you focus your attention to ensure that your dependents and family is also well taken care of. Now for Taurus ascendant natives, if moon is your moon sign, your moon sign is Taurus, moon is in your Lagna, then for the Taurus moon sign people, you will have Rahu moving away from your 12th house and into your 11th house, and Ketu moving away from the 6th house into the 5th house. But now Ketu is directly aspecting or will be aspecting your moon, whereas Rahu will be aspecting your 3rd house, which is owned by the moon, which means Rahu will be aspecting your Cancer sign. Now what does this mean? Which means moon is under the direct influence of both Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is aspecting the moon sign or the sign ruled by moon, which is Cancer sign, and Ketu is directly aspecting your natal moon in your birth chart. This is a double whammy. So what does it do? Now the good thing is moon is in a very, very excellent placement for Taurus ascendant natives. It is in the Lagna and in exaltation. So it is a fantastic placement. However, the challenge here is that moon is a harbinger of your focus, your attention, what your wishes and desires are, and also on the other hand fears. Now keep in mind that Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon itself. So moon gets most impacted by the transit of Rahu and Ketu, and here Rahu and Ketu are going to influence moon on either side by virtue of its placement in the Lagna in your natal chart, as well as now Rahu aspecting it in its transit, Cancer sign. So on one side your communication will be affected because the 3rd house is also the house of your communication, your marketing, your ability to be able to influence people. And on the other hand, it will also be under the impact of Ketu, which means through your communication you will want to enhance your status, your attention, your designation, your status, your status in society, your standing in society. So you will want to enhance or get more respect in terms of your stature. Money will be important, but not as much as whether you are growing. So many times you may want to grow at work, you may want to grow in business, you may want to grow in stature also. So sometimes you may push for a better role. You may be still okay with a slight increment at work, but definitely you may not allow that you are not being given growth, or you are not getting more position, or you are not getting more responsibility. So in some way, some attention has to be given where you feel more important at work or important in your life, in your domestic life, because Rahu's aspect is on the moon. Moon is also where your focus and attention for happiness, for satisfaction, for peace and tranquility is. So on the one hand, for Taurus ascendant natives, moon in the Lagna and Rahu aspecting Cancer sign, which means your attention will also be on growth, on enhancement. So you will also want to make the choices accordingly. On the other hand, Ketu aspecting moon with its 9th aspect, your natal moon in your birth chart, which means that you will also want to focus your attention on keeping things under control, keeping things or your emotions under control. If you are able to do that, because Rahu is enhancing the emotional quotient of the moon while Ketu is trying to balance it, so there will be times where you may get more temperamental, you may feel more fierce, you may feel frustrated. But on the other hand, on the flip side, there will also be periods or phases over the next 18 months where you will also feel that you are more in control, you are more at peace with yourself. So as long as you are able to balance the yin and yang or the opposite energies between Rahu and Ketu, this is the better placement where your status may be enhanced, your stature may be enhanced in society, you may also be able to control your emotions, and the best thing is you will be able to use your communication skills and influential skills to be able to enhance your stature and status. Now for Gemini ascendant natives, if moon sign is in your or moon is in your lagna for Gemini ascendant natives, or Gemini is your moon sign, which means that Rahu will be moving in a couple of months into your 12th house and Ketu will be moving into your 4th house, away from your 11th and your 5th house respectively. Now, this is a very unique placement because on one hand, Ketu is getting into the 4th house, the natural house of moon in the Kalpurush Kundli, whereas Rahu is aspecting the Cancer sign in the 2nd house. The 2nd house in the Kalpurush Kundli is where moon gets exalted. So yeah, moon being in the Gemini sign, the sign of communication, the sign of influencing people, the sign of marketing and branding and thinking. So when moon is in the lagna for the Gemini moon sign person, then yeah, the person may also be sometimes at loggerhead with his or her own thoughts. Sometimes they may be confused, sometimes they may take a decision only to think back, did I make a right decision, or to think hard at not taking a decision and suddenly taking the decision in the nick of time. So surely this is the time where Rahu will be enhancing through its 5th aspect, wanting gains in income, in livelihood and ability to be able to take care of dependents. But at the same time they will be in doubt. Should I do certain decision or not? Should I wait till the last minute? And many times because of this not being able to make decisions or in time, you may lose opportunities also, because Ketu is also placed in the 4th house. So this is surely a placement where the zodiac is telling you or egging you on that don't waste time in taking decisions, especially connected to career, especially connected to service. Why service? On one hand, Rahu is in your 10th house, aspecting your 2nd house of income and aspecting also your 6th house of service, which means that for Gemini moon sign people, Rahu's attention is on one sign of the moon in the 2nd house, which is Cancer, but also the other sign, the moon gets debilitated while moon is in the lagna, which means because Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon, there will be times where you may not be completely happy and satisfied with your service, with your work arena. So because Rahu is moving into the 10th house, you may be overexcited or over pushy about growth at work. So be a little careful, especially connected to money, because Rahu gets into the 10th house and now person feels I'm not getting enough purchase from my job in terms of my livelihood, my income, and you may sometimes take a decision which you may regret later because of moon being in the Gemini sign, the moon sign. So be a little careful during over the next 18 months. Some of you may shift house, very strong chance that you may shift house or do something in the house or make your house or home new. So be careful of how you make your decision making for shifts in your home or home improvement, because then expenses will be something which will be under focus, especially with Rahu aspecting your 2nd house of savings. So you will, some of you may have to delve into your savings to be able to take care of certain decisions according to home. The other thing is, because Ketu is moving into the 4th house, Ketu is moving you away from home or creating opportunity that you move away from your home, which means even from your home city, because the Rahu is getting into the 10th house of career. So because of your career, because of your service also, there may be an opportunity which comes, which takes you away from your home, even to another city, for some of you even to foreign lands. With Ketu aspecting the 12th house, it is not such a strong placement. However, there are still some chances. So be careful of where you make your shifts, where you focus your attention, because this is surely a time where Rahu will increase your wishes and desires for enhancement at work, enhancement in role at work, and at the same time wanting more income, wanting more livelihood, but Ketu is taking you away from that place. So make your decisions very carefully, because this shift may involve a large shift in your life itself, pertaining to your career and to your livelihood over the next 18 months and beyond. Now for Cancer ascendant natives, if moon sign is your Cancer sign, which means in your birth chart moon is in the Cancer sign, so then you will have a situation where Rahu will be moving into your 9th house and aspecting moon and the Cancer sign in the lagna, while Ketu is moving away into the 3rd house, away from the 4th house. Remember, 4th house is also the natural house of moon, the Cancer sign in the Kalpurush Kundli. And now Rahu is aspecting both the Cancer sign and the moon, which means, if you remember, Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon, which means their transits especially under aspect, has a huge bearing on your emotional quotient, over your fears, over your aspirations, over your wishes and desires. So here, Rahu moving into the 9th house fiercely enhances your need for improvement in terms of your stature, in terms of your dignity, in terms of your respect, but also wanting more back from your investments, because remember the 4th house or the 4th sign Cancer is also your assets. So Rahu wants gains from your assets. So you may also relook at in your investments, where have I made my investments? Are they giving me proper fruit? Are they giving me proper returns? And are they enhancing my standing in society, my stature in society through my investments? Are they making me feel more secure? Are they making me feel more at home? Are they enhancing my properties, my assets? So that will surely be there. And because of that hunger and greed, Rahu moving into the 9th house of gains, you may make decisions which may also help and enhance that. Enhance your status, enhance your stature, and get more properties, or focus on better investment. But just be careful, because it is at the end of the day Rahu may mislead you into taking decisions which are not good. And because Ketu is going into the 3rd house of communication, influencing skills, many times you may have to rework on your communication, redo on your communication, redo or rework on your emails, or maybe repeat, or maybe because of miscommunication, the decision making may not be apt. Sometimes not only because of your communication skills, but misunderstanding on the part of the other. So this is the real critical placement. Now this is also important because Ketu's 5th aspect is on your 7th house, the sign of relationships, while Rahu is aspecting your moon, which means in your conjugal life, in your marital life, you may want more attention from your partner. You may want to be able to spend more time with the partner, maybe have more romantic moments as well. However, this will not be always easy. Ketu is keeping you away from your relationship, getting you to focus more at work, while Rahu is enhancing the emotional quotient of the moon. So be a little careful what kind of decisions you make, especially in your family or in your emotional needs, because that may also be counterproductive. And with Ketu also aspecting your 11th house, wishes and desires may kick in very strongly, but all of them may not come true. So keep it under balance over the next 18 months, so that unnecessarily emotional output, emotional temperament is not triggered. For Leo ascendant natives, or for those people for whom moon is in the Leo sign, which means your moon sign is Leo, this is a very good placement overall with some riders. Now what is the main rider? The main rider is your Cancer sign Lord Moon is in the Lagna, from the moon sign perspective, from the moon Lagna perspective. And now Rahu is moving away from your 9th house into your 8th house in a couple of months, and Ketu is moving away from your 3rd house and into the 2nd house. Now keep in mind that Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon itself. And Ketu is getting into the 2nd house. The 2nd house in the Kalpurush Kundali is ruled by the Taurus sign, where moon gets exalted. And Rahu is moving away from your 9th house into the 8th house, but is aspecting the Cancer sign in the 12th house, which is ruled by moon. And now moon is in your Lagna, in your moon sign, which means that you may want certain wishes and desires to come true, and you may push for them. On one side, you may want a better quality of life. For that, you may want that the leadership, especially at work, focuses its attention on helping you grow. But the problem is Ketu from the 2nd house of income is aspecting your 6th house of service, career, working under somebody, as well as aspecting the Taurus sign, the money sign, in the 10th house, which means it may not be easy to push for growth. It may not be easy to push for livelihood. However, the good thing is that you may be able to get a better role, because Saturn is in the Aquarius sign, in its own sign, in the 7th house, where it has highest directional strength. So this will be a good placement, especially next coming April, when Jupiter will be moving into the Taurus sign under the aspect of Ketu, which means that your work arena will be expanded. And if you have better relations with your superiors, then it will also help you enhance your status, your stature in society, in your work, in your designation, in your role, in your responsibility. Maybe the income or the enhancement may not be very strong. A number of people who have moon in your Leo sign or whose moon sign is Leo may not get the best of increments over the next 18 months. However, the best of roles may come to you, a lot of responsibility oriented approaches may come to you, or responsible work may come to you, responsible projects may come to you, and that may help you to be able to push for gains later. So the first half of the transit over the next 9 to 10 months, focus your attention to take up the important projects and then to put up your hand and to showcase or to demonstrate that you are able to ask for that increment, ask for the better livelihood, ask for that designation. And then in the later half of the transit over the next 9 to 10 months from the next November onwards, maybe you will be able to get also a good increment. For some of you, there is also a chance that after April next year, there may also be a promotion or a chance of moving away into a new company but with a promotion. Now for Virgo ascendant natives, which means for those people whose moon sign is Virgo or moon is placed in your Virgo sign in your natal chart, here Ketu is moving into the Lagna from your second house, from the sign of relations Libra, and Rahu is moving away from your 8th house and stopping some of the challenges or obstacles that it had locked onto and moving into the 7th house. So Rahu is triggering partnerships, Rahu is triggering acquaintances. What Rahu's message here is that if you are able to do better at teamwork, you are able to work with people better, then your wishes and desires will come true. Why wishes and desires coming true? Because moon is in the Lagna, which means Virgo sign is your moon sign, and Rahu is aspecting the Cancer sign ruled by moon in the 11th house. Now remember, Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon itself. So Rahu is aspecting the Cancer sign, so enhancing the ability to get your wishes and desires fulfilled through partnerships, and Ketu is moving into the Lagna over moon. So both Rahu is also aspecting your moon indirectly, aspecting the Cancer sign, and Ketu is influencing moon directly, and because they are the north node and the south node of the moon itself, this is a very, very strong placement of Rahu and Ketu in a large way, impacting how you think, what your fears are, what your aspirations are, what your wishes and desires are. Now because moon rules your 11th house and is in your Lagna or your moon sign is Virgo, which means your wishes and desires will be triggered. But Ketu moving into the Lagna, which means your wishes and desires may be slightly different from what you are holding so far. So which means once Rahu and Ketu's transit happens, your focus and attention will not be so much on your stature or your designation or standing in society, but more in terms of how you are able to get more gains from your partnerships, from your acquaintances, from your relationships, and especially from your spouse. So a lot of attention may also be given to your girlfriend or boyfriend, or to your spouse, or to your home. And because Rahu is placed in the 7th house, or will be placed in the 7th house, and will be aspecting the 3rd house of communication, influencing people, but in the Scorpio sign, while it is also aspecting the Cancer sign. So sometimes you may not think well enough before you say something, and sometimes you may hurt other people, especially at home, especially in your marital life, especially in your family. So be careful what you say in your partnership, what you say to your family, how you manage your dependence, because this is a placement where a big change may surely be coming for some of you. Some of you may also find some triggers of some maybe slight sicknesses or illnesses, but as long as you're more disciplined about what you eat, how you take care of your day-to-day activities, this is not something to be worried about. But surely one big wish of yours will surely be coming true over the next 18 months, maybe the fag end of the transit, but surely it's under focus. So either it's your growth, or maybe a growth at work, or promotion at work, or an increment coming your way. Now for Libra ascendant natives, which means if moon sign is in your Libra sign, and moon sign Libra is getting activated because of Ketu moving away from your Libra sign into your 12th house and releasing its impact on the moon. So this is a very good placement, a very good transit for Libra sign or moon sign people whose moon sign is Libra. So Rahu moving away from your 7th house but into the 6th house of competition. So this will make you more shrewd. This will make you more active in trying to overcome competition and trying to keep competition at bay. So you may have a better or the upper hand over competition. You may score over competition, especially connected to service, connected to work, because your attention is there, your focus is there, your vision and desire is there. Now these may or may not get you the material benefits, but surely this will enhance your ability to be able to overcome people who, emotionally, or take the pressures from work more easily without losing your calm, without losing your poise. And because of Ketu being placed in the 12th house, this will also keep your expenses intact, with Ketu's 5th aspect also being on the 4th house. So here you may be very careful in how your expenses are coming by. You may not want to splurge, though the desire will be. And Rahu placed in the 6th house, aspecting your 2nd house, which means you may want to increase your livelihood. So on one hand, your attention, your actions, your wishes and desires will be towards enhancing your livelihood, your income, your savings, while Ketu will be protecting it. So this is the best time to enhance your assets, to increase your assets, to be able to also increase your assets and your savings. So make use of this period very well. And once Jupiter moves away from your 7th house and into the 8th house, into the money sign of Taurus, and expands that, a lot of people whose income is generated from the 8th house areas like taxation, like government jobs, like IT, all of them will find a much better results from next April onwards. Now for Scorpio ascendant natives, which means if moons is in your Scorpio sign, or Scorpio sign is your moon sign, then this is a good placement overall, a pretty balanced placement. On one hand, Ketu is moving away from your Libra sign, the sign of relations, the 12th house, into the 11th house, and keeping you away from being not able to use your social connections well, not being able to use your relations in your work very well, and changing the status quo. So if some of you feel that in spite of your best attempts of making better relations, being able to use your relations to be able to enhance your status, your stature, get better work done, interdepartmental or interdepartment as well, this is changing the status quo, and Ketu is activating the 11th house of acquaintances, of social life. However, Ketu is also taking you away more from the fun. Ketu is saying enough of fun, now let's focus on work, because Ketu's 5th aspect is on the 3rd house of working hard, of effort. So Ketu is activating your effort, and the effort at your work will be to enhance your social skills or social network connected to work, and keeping you away from some of the fun that you have been doing. However, Ketu's aspect, 9th aspect, is also on the money sign of Taurus on the 7th house, which means that some of you may not be able to give enough time even in your relationship, in your conjugal life, at home, in your domestic life, especially with Saturn also being in the 4th house in Aquarius and aspecting your Jupiter. However, in 4 months time, or by April next year, when Jupiter moves into the money sign of Taurus and comes under the 9th aspect of Ketu, so it will enhance your ability to be able to make more gains in your partnerships from your teamwork. So keep an eye on post April next year, 2024, when Jupiter is activating and enhancing your ability to make more money and activating your money sign of Taurus, and Moon in your natal chart in Scorpio aspecting the Taurus sign. Surely higher increments may be activated, your desire to make more money will be activated, and Ketu will allow you to come good at least on one vision desires pertaining to money. Either you may be able to save more, or you may be surely be able to get a good increment. And there will be more stability at home because of Saturn being in your 4th house and Jupiter moving into the 7th house, which means this will be a good time for overall enhancements to be able to make better gains in teamwork. So keep an eye on not being able to keep your focus away from how you work with people, how you work with your spouse, keeping the tranquility and peace at home. Now for Sagittarius moon sign people, which means if moon is in your Sagittarius sign, in your natal chart, in your birth chart, this is going to be an excellent placement for you, or excellent transit of Rahu and Ketu for you. The simple reason being is that we know that Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon, and moon because of being Sagittarius being your moon sign, if it's in the Lagna, because we are looking at from the moon's Lagna perspective, Rahu and Ketu will be exactly on equidistant side from moon. Rahu is 4th from moon and Ketu is 10th from moon, which means they're equidistant from moon in transit. And Rahu is aspecting the moon sign of Cancer in the 8th house, and Ketu will be aspecting your 2nd house, where the Kalpurush Kundli's Taurus sign is where moon gets exalted. So overall, this is a pretty balanced placement. Rahu is enhancing your need for better gains at home, which means you want better assets, you want a better quality of life, you want to be able to spend more time, quality time with your family, maybe go out, maybe travel, maybe spend more time in terms of picnics, or in some way the fun quotient will surely be kicked in, and Rahu's attention surely is on your domestic life. Family time is also activated, and doing something with the home improvement, home purchases, purchasing daily appliances or day-to-day appliances or appliances of conveniences is kicked in. And this is also enhanced because Rahu will be aspecting your 12th house of expenses, waste and excess. So be a little careful of how much money you splurge on some of those daily appliances or gizmos, which sometimes may not be of use for us. There comes a sale along, and then suddenly we want to splurge. Only when we come home we realize that maybe we didn't need that item so much. Keep an eye on where you are investing your money, where you're spending your money. Try to invest in the property if you get a good opportunity, but do your due diligence, because Rahu in the 4th house, which means sometimes the decision making may not be the best. Especially because the Rahu also aspecting the Cancer sign, which is the 4th house in the Kalpurush Kundli. So Rahu's aspect, the 5th house aspect of gains, which means Rahu wants gains from property, from assets, but you may take a decision which is counterproductive, so be careful. This is also important because Ketu from your 10th house of service will be aspecting your 2nd house of income and your 6th house. Especially the 6th house is where your Taurus sign is, the money sign is, and your 2nd house where Ketu aspect with this 5th aspect is also the 2nd sign of Taurus sign in the Kalpurush Kundli. So Ketu is surely keeping an eye on income, on increment from work, from service. So Ketu is activating a change in your increment potential, your earning potential at work. So for some of you, surely an opportunity may come by where there may be a change in your career, change in the location, change in the role, change in the designation, change in responsibilities, change of even the boss. So surely one big change is coming along for you, which will enhance your ability to be able to either grow in your work or be able to get more increment. So keep that in mind and keep an eye out for the change. As I said, change could be either in increment or role or responsibility or boss or a growth or even a change of job itself. So keep a focus attention here. This could be a big change coming your way where you may not look back. And there may also be a change with Rahu in the 4th house of assets, and a big investment may be coming along, but ensure that you don't splurge too much money, because later on you may not be able to pull it back. So overall, a pretty balanced placement for Sagittarius moon sign people. Have fun, keep your expenses under control, and make your decisions right, both at work as well as at home. Now for Capricorn moon sign people, which means the moon is in your Capricorn sign. So from moon sign or Capricorn sign Lagna, from the moon's perspective, Rahu is moving into your 3rd house in the sign of Pisces, and Ketu is moving into the 9th house in the sign of Virgo. But here what is important is that once Ketu is transiting away from your 10th house and into the 9th house, Ketu is releasing its special effect on your career. But Ketu is now aspecting your natal moon from the 9th house of gains, of learning, of being able to make wise decisions. Now it is also a double impact for moon here, because Ketu is aspecting moon and Rahu is aspecting the sign ruled by moon, which is Cancer sign. Now remember, Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon. So Rahu and Ketu's ability to enhance or affect moon is the strongest, is the greatest, which means one will have to be more careful of how emotional decisions you take. Now Ketu's aspect, 5th aspect on moon, means from the 9th house that Many times you may want to take wise decisions, you may want to take more logical decisions, more practical decisions. However, because the moon denotes your fears, your aspirations, your frustrations, sometimes the most logical decisions may not come by to you. However, this is the placement where you may work hard in your career, you may work hard on your commitment, you may work hard on the roles and responsibilities being given to you, especially because Rahu is getting into the third house of effort, and Rahu is aspecting with his fifth aspect the Cancer sign ruled by moon in the seventh house of team, of partnership, your ability to work with people. So surely work cut out for you, some hard work coming by for you, but good thing is Rahu's work will be with intelligence, which means Rahu's ninth aspect is on the 11th house of wishes and desires, but where moon gets debilitated in the Scorpio sign. So you will have to be more careful in terms of how much effort you put in, what you say, how you communicate, because that will also impact your status and stature at work. And gains may also be affected because Ketu is into the ninth house of gains and aspecting moon into the Lagna for the moon sign Capricorn. But Capricorn sign is also your natural 10th house of the Kalpurush Kundali. So in work, be careful of what you say, how you communicate, how much you push for gains, how much you force your team to be able to abide by what you want, because that could have a long-term impact. However, this is a good placement where your increments still may be good. There may be stability in your earning potential, your livelihood, because Saturn is in the second house in its own sign. And when Jupiter moves into the fifth house of gains and come under the aspect of Ketu in about 4 to 5 months, next year April, this will also trigger a change even in your work area. So be a little careful, because gains are surely getting kicked in. So an opportunity may come by to you which will make you think, should I go this way or that? That opportunity may be to move away from your location, move into a different city, maybe even to foreign lands, because Jupiter rules the 12th house and moving into the 5th house of change of job or career, because the 5th house is the 8th to the 10th house. So take your decisions properly. Increments in your job area will surely trigger in, or an opportunity may come in where you are ability to be able to enhance your stature through an income, through better livelihood may also be hitting, and there may be more gains. However, keep your frustrations and your communication at bay, because this could be a period where gains, opportunities are getting kicked in, but also a chance that you may also lose focus of how much to say, how much to work, what to do and what not to do. Now for Aquarius moon sign, which means if a moon is in your Aquarius sign in your natal chart, this is a placement where Saturn has transited into your Aquarius sign or over the moon, over the natal moon. So here there is a placement of lot of stability also. However, Saturn, when it goes over natal moon, it also triggers, as we know, the Sadesati. So if your Sadesati is kicked in, now that Saturn is going over your natal place moon. So this is a slightly tricky placement for the right decision making is concerned, especially when Rahu and Ketu transit. This is important because if you remember, Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon, not of Jupiter, not of the sun, but of the moon. So when Rahu and Ketu transit, they always trigger the moon in some way or the other. In some ways positive and sometimes with more challenging effect. Now this could be a slightly tricky placement where how you are able to keep your expenses at bay on one side will be in question. Ketu will surely be protective. A malefic going into the 8th house is not a bad placement, especially Ketu. Ketu keeps obstacles at bay, Ketu keeps challenges at bay, Ketu keeps some of the sicknesses at bay. However, Ketu is also aspecting your 12th house, which means some visits to the clinic may surely be kicked in, some small challenges here and there health-wise may be kicked in. So keep an eye on what we eat, especially your health. Exercise a little bit, don't be laggard, especially because of Sadesati kicking in and Saturn going over your moon in the Lagna. So some chronic ailments can be triggered, something may flare up. So exercise, keep your health under control, keep your diet under control, and then it will be a good thing. Why diet is more enhanced here? Because Rahu is getting into the second house of nutrition. So sometimes you may want to eat more, you become more choosy, or you want to go out and eat more, you become more of a foodie, and you want to go to restaurants or you want to order food. rather than cook. So keep an eye on how much of foodie you are and where you go to eat, because this could be something which may trigger some ill health surely, if not some serious concern. This is also important because Ketu will be aspecting your 4th house of assets, money, peace, tranquility, stability at home, and aspecting your 12th house, which means that you may be concerned about spending. You may also question your family. Why is so much money going in? Why we are paying so much for the electricity bill or this bill or that bill? We need to keep this in control. We need to keep that in control. And so there will surely be more focus in trying to keep expenses under bay. And so you may question the family or try to bring in more discipline at home. So keep in mind that sometimes pushing your family too much for expenses may backfire, especially with Rahu going into the 2nd house of nutrition or dependence. So keep an eye on how much money you spend, how much money you're controlling over the family. Now Rahu going into the 2nd house of income and aspecting both your 10th house of career as well as your 6th house. But remember, Rahu is aspecting the Cancer sign ruled by Moon. Moon is in your Lagna for Aquarius sign people, and Saturn going over it in Sadesati, which means because of wanting to push for higher increment or better growth, you may unnecessarily push the hot buttons of your bosses so much that even your job may be at stake, your livelihood may be at stake because of your hunger and greed. So be very, very careful of what kind of decision making you take. However, there will be one opportunity surely of changing the job and then enhancing your livelihood and income. However, because Sadesati is kicked in, do your due diligence 10 times. Think 10 times before you make that decision making to change a job or to quit. Please don't quit, for heaven's sake, come what may. Unless you have another job at hand, don't quit. If you're wanting to start something of your own, some maybe business, and quit your regular job, think 10 times before you do that, because Rahu may be misleading you into taking that decision where stability is not there. Unless you are absolutely sure, only then you take the plunge. Things may be slightly better off from next coming April, when Jupiter will move into the Taurus sign, but still be under the aspect of Ketu. So Jupiter will enhance your income surely, but expenses will still be something that you need to keep a control on. However, also keep the peace and tranquility at home rather than spoiling your equation with the spouse, and especially with the family. Now, for those people whose moon sign is Pisces, or Pisces is your moon sign, which means moon is in the Pisces sign in your chart. And when you're looking at from the moon sign's Lagna perspective, this is a very, very important transit of Rahu and Ketu, because Rahu is moving away from your 2nd house into your moon or onto your moon. So Rahu is strongly triggering your moon. Now keep in mind that Rahu and Ketu are the north nodes and the south nodes of the moon itself. So the transits of Rahu and Ketu surely strongly activate your focus, your fears, your apprehensions, your wishes and desires, your emotions. Now Rahu is going over your moon, so Rahu is going to strongly activate the emotional quotient, your temperament, your wishes and desires, and you will be thinking, or you will be questioning, in fact, so far what you have done over the last 18 months, what have you achieved, or maybe over the last few years you have achieved, or what have you achieved over the last Antardasha or in the current Dasha. So surely a lot of questioning time. However, Rahu does better in the Pisces sign than any other sign, so this is a better placement still. The only challenge is that you have already entered into the rising period of Sadesati because of Saturn going into the Aquarius sign, into a house which is one house before the Pisces sign. So your rising sign or rising Sadesati is already kicked in and aspecting your 2nd house of income, of livelihood. So because of your higher aspirations of better stature, better designation, better status, now that Rahu is going over your moon, don't do or don't take a decision which may trigger unnecessary expenses, unnecessary challenges in your work. Especially challenges at your work may get triggered because of Rahu's hunger and greed and aspiration, because Rahu is aspecting the 5th house. The 5th house is the 8th to the 10th house. However, the more important thing is Rahu is placed with the moon, and Rahu is aspecting the sign ruled by the moon, which is the Cancer sign, in the 5th house, 8th to the 10th house, and Because of the higher wishes and desires of Rahu, you may even contemplate changing the job, changing the team, changing the department. So think 10 times. Saturn being in the 12th house in a rising Sadesati period, which means sometimes for some of you an opportunity to go abroad may also come in, or move into a different company where the company is a MNC or an international conglomerate. So think twice before you take that decision. However, Rahu is also activating the 9th house of gains, and so this is a good time. One decision, one choice that you make will surely be very good choice for gains coming in. However, Ketu in the 7th house aspecting your 11th house of wishes and desires. So which means all your wishes and desires may not come true while Rahu is activating wishes and desires in the Lagna for enhanced stature, for enhanced dignity, enhanced growth also. So be careful how it comes by. Sometimes you may also feel, why am I putting so much effort? My team is not working so much, because Ketu is also aspecting the 3rd house of effort and placed in the 7th house of partnerships and teamwork. So you may slacken how you work with the team because of your hunger and greed and feeling that I am doing much more than before, I don't need to put in. So yeah, this can be a tricky placement where you may also trigger unhappiness within your team, unhappiness with your bosses also. So be little careful. Coming April 2024, when Jupiter will move into the money sign of Taurus in the 3rd house, which is still under the, which will be under the 9th aspect of Ketu, which means Jupiter will expand your ability to work hard. However, Ketu aspecting it means you will have to work harder than normally to be able to get gains. And be careful of how you communicate, what to say. With Rahu in the Lagna, you may push too hard without thinking of what you're saying, thinking that you may be able to get by. So as long as you are better control in your rising Sadesati period, you keep your wishes and desires under control, one big gain is surely coming to you over the next 18 months. Keep your eyes open and to be able to milk that opportunity when it comes by to you. So friends, now that we have seen how Rahu and Ketu's transit is going to play out for you from your moon side perspective, especially keeping in mind that Rahu and Ketu are your north node and the south node of the moon itself, please do check how and where your moon is placed in your natal chart, in which sign, but also in what yogas and doshas, because that will also play a part of what opportunities are coming by for you and what pitfalls are also coming for you in this very important transit of Rahu and Ketu. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the link below. Until some other time, some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.